We are now live.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Asheville Transit Committee, January 16th, 2024, from 5 to 7 p.m. We meet normally on the third
We are now
Tuesday of the
live.
month and virtually from 5 to 7. The Transit Committee is a volunteer citizen board designed to offer input and guidance to the Asheville Transit System and City Council. We do not set or change routes, control Asheville's transit budget, or have the authority over staff, drivers, or management company. We are a group of citizens like you who are here to ensure community concerns are taken into consideration when setting public transit policy. At this time, I will be taking a roll call. And I'm Harvey Harrell, your chair. Sandy Aldridge, vice chair. Sandy Aldridge,
Yes, sir. I'm right here.
thank you, Sandy, for being here today. Joseph Chesler,
I'm here, Harvey. Thank you.
glad you're here, Joe. Glad to see you. Bill Loftus. Bill Loftus. I'm quite sure Bill will be here. Okay. Colin Kenton.
I'm here.
Thank you, Colin. Kara Wheeler.
I'm here.
Thank you, Karen, for joining the Transit Committee. Glad you're here today. We do have a quorum today, so we'll go on down the agenda. We have a lot to cover today, and I trust everyone has read the minutes for January 16th, 2024 agenda and have read over the November 21st minutes for 2023 for review and approval. May I have a motion to accept the minutes for January 16th and November the 21st?
I'll
So
motion.
moved.
Thank you, Sandy. May I have a second?
I'll
Second.
second. Oop, Colin's got me.
All right, Colin got
The magic of virtual.
it. All right. I for chairman, Sandy. Voting yes, yea or nay. Sandy Aldridge to accept the minutes.
Yes, motion.
Joseph Chesler.
Aye.
Thank you, Joe. Colin Kenton.
Aye.
Carol Wheeler.
Aye.
Thank you, Carol. Okay, moving on down. We have no one in the queue for public comment. Business committee membership. Today, we'd like to introduce everyone to. I would like to introduce everyone to Carol Wheeler, appointed by the MMTC, effective December 13, 2023. Do you have anything you would like to say? Carol.
Yeah. Just want to say I'm really excited to be here. Thanks everyone for your vote of support. I love public transit. You normally use the bus to get into downtown. I'm in West Asheville, and I'm really excited to be here and be part of the committee.
I'm glad you're here because I gave you a rousing.
My friends had a lot of fun watching the video and seeing you, Harvey. So
Yes, I was glad to get you on board. I put everything into it that I could, Kara. I'm glad you're here today. On the agenda for resignations, Georgia Burtz, she is resigned effective December 18th, 2023. And then we have Mr. Brandon Oliver. His membership effective 10/23. Mr. Oliver quoted he's not going to renew his membership for a second term. We wish him well, and we thank him for his service to the Asheville community. Moving on down with City and RATPT Dev, TP Dev staffing updates, introduction of the new transit grants analyst, Christina Harris.
Hi, everyone. I'm the new transit grants analyst with the transportation department. I recently kind of moved from another department to this one, and I'm really excited to serve you all and to get our grants sorted out. So thank you.
Thank you, Christina. I had to look in the corner. I said, where's she at?
I'm here, I promise.
All right. Thank you for being here today. Okay. Y'all have to bear with me today because I usually have my agenda printed out. I didn't get a chance to get it printed out this time. So I'm having to read it off a little small screen today. Nicole Hart appointed to the Transit Grants Coordinator position. Nicole, do you have anything you'd like to say for all that you do?
No, sir, just appreciate the opportunity.
We're so glad you're here, Nicole.
Thank you.
You do so much, so much. Okay, moving on down. Retirement of Transportation Director, City Engineer Ken Putnam. Amber, were you going to say something about him? Because I'm quite sure Ken's not here on this line.
Yeah, Ken is not here. In fact, he's retired. His last day was the end of December. After many years of service with the city of Asheville as the city engineer and the director of transportation, he'll surely be missed. The time I was here, it was great working with him. He is now in retirement and hanging out with his family and his grandchildren and camping. Hopefully not in the weather right now, but we wish him well. Along with Ken's retirement, Jessica Morris has been named the interim transportation director for our transportation department. Jessica was the assistant transportation director and now is the interim. So excited to have her in that capacity. And we also, I'd like to just, while I'm here, Harvey, hopefully it's okay.
I'm glad you're going.
Also would like to just add, it's along the RATP dev lines. There are contractor who provide the operations and maintenance and the management of the actual art service. LaShawn Abraham has been appointed as the interim general manager currently. They're actively interviewing for the GM role for the transit system. Barry Reiling is no longer in the Asheville property. So we appreciate all of the service that he's provided to us throughout the years and wish him well. And LaShawn has been with ART for over 17 years. She worked her way up as an operator, and she is just key and instrumental to all that goes on with ART. So we're happy to work with her. Also just wanted to give a shout out to Christina, who has only been on board for a week. She came from the city in the CDBG department. She has an extensive background in federal grants, so we're excited to have her roll up her sleeves and help us tackle some of our outstanding grants and working towards executing new ones. And just a kudos to Nicole, who took the transit grants coordinator role in August in an interim position, and she has been promoted to it in a permanent role. And we are so appreciative of all the work that Nicole has done. She has worn many hats. She still continues to do so, but she has really provided a lot of service and outreach and just key information and getting us organized with our grants and with our transit program. So I want to thank you all. So.
Thank you, Amber, for running with that ball. My mouth is not dry at all. Thank you so much.
Joseph had his hand raised. I think I probably talked all over Joseph.
Yeah.
So I apologize.
No,
Before we move any further, I would like to go ahead and recognize Joseph has his hand in the queue.
Thank you, Harvey. Amber, you basically took the words out of my mouth. I wanted to congratulate Nicole and Christina in their roles. I was curious, however, is the grants management role a new position, or are these positions that have not been filled in previous years? Because we're very excited on MMTC to see the emphasis being placed on grants management and seeking out potentially new sources of revenue to support many of the goals and aspirations we have. But are they new positions, or are these promotions into a critical role?
They're promotions into critical roles. The transit grants analyst has been with the city. There's been a lot of transitions with the role, and since February of 22, the position had not been filled. Or February of 23, excuse me. So we're really excited to be able to fill it and have Christina take the role. Nicole's position has been just reclassified due to the duties and promoted that way. We will also, starting February 5th, have a new transit projects planning and coordinator on board. His name is Chris Whitlock. He comes from the Bay Area, one of the transit systems in the Bay Area. So he will come with a wealth of transit experience. LaShawn was on the interview committee for this particular role. And we're all really excited to have him on board. I particularly am excited to be fully staffed. We've had some critical vacancies in the past, like 6 to 10 months almost, and just coming off of our triennial review, which took up a lot of my time. So really excited to get rolling on some of these projects that have kind of been left just due to the staffing resources that we haven't had.
Great. I share your excitement.
We're very excited.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone for your input. And I'm glad to see Mr. Michael Birch joined us a few minutes ago. And that way we can move right on down. RATPD Dev Safety Presentation, Michael Birch, Vice President of Operations East, and Francine James, Vice President of Safety and Security, will discuss RATP Dev safety efforts and recent safety initiatives of ARC.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Mike Birch. I am the, as properly titled there, I'm the VP of Operations for the East region. Recently, RATP Dev just went through a reorganization. Your last regional vice president was a gentleman named Brendan Matthews. So we've grown to the point where they needed to kind of shift things around. I actually spend a lot of time in North Carolina. Greensboro and Raleigh are both contracts that I currently work on. I live in Fort Worth, Texas, and I was supposed to be here yesterday, but a half inch of snow in Texas is like a blizzard, and everything closes down. So I got here today. My flight got canceled yesterday. Also with me is Francine James. She's the VP of Safety and Security for our organization. Obviously, we both came here, one, to familiarize ourselves with the operation, but we've also had a broader goal. It is not lost upon us that we've had 2 significant pedestrian accidents in downtown Asheville, along with 1 near miss. And that's unusual for our operations. So Francine and I are hosting a safety stand down with the local team. We're actually, we have meetings. We literally just got out of one as we were coming onto this call, where we are talking to operators. We're actually showing the videos. We're also designing a dynamic obstacle course that we're going to put everybody through, with the whole idea of looking at these accidents. The accidents have some similarity in the fact that they've involved turning in every case. And I would say it's a bit unusual. Asheville is not as big as Washington, D.C., which is another one of my properties. And we haven't had a pedestrian there in a very, very, very long time. So we're spending a lot of time with the operators. We want to hear from them. We're also actually going out to the location where the intersection actually is. I think it's Biltmore and Hilliard is the intersection. We're going to be looking at the engineering of that intersection, and if there's anything to mitigate there. What I would tell you is just in our initial investigation, we have found that turning mechanics appear to be a bit off. Operators are taught to square turns. So you pull out almost, when you're making a right or a left-hand turn, you pull out about halfway through the intersection, and then you make a very, very, very direct right or left turn from there. And actually, I think in all three cases, what we're seeing is turning that's happening before the squared away piece is going on. So that's what we're here directly addressing. And I'm probably the highest ranking person that you get to work within our organization. However, our CEO is involved in this. You have this operation has the attention of our entire team. Our parent organization is actually in Paris, France, and they are aware of what's going on here in Asheville as well too. We obviously take safety very, very serious. It's our number one priority in our organization, and we will be working diligently to discover if there's any kind of weaknesses in the training or anything we can do engineering wise. We have Francine kind of heads it up, but we also do a full rundown on all the driving records. We'll be inspecting the buses that were involved in this to make sure to rule out any kind of maintenance issue. Although there's nothing that points to that being the issue. It all points to driver mechanics. I've been in the business for almost 30 years. I started my career at Indigo, which is in Indianapolis. I worked there for 22 years. Started off as an entry-level employee driving buses. Worked my way up to being the chief operations officer there. Joined RATP Dev in 2015. My first role was being the chief operation officer for Fort Worth Transit Authority. It's called Trinity Metro now. And then spent my last years as a GM down in Austin, Texas, which was our largest operation at the time. I had over 1,000 employees that directly reported to me. So Asheville's not quite that big, which means that the problem should be easier to solve here. And so we will be here all week, and we will continue to return until we have some results, and we will share those results with you. Francine, is there anything you want to add from your side?
Not immediately, only to support everything that you just mentioned. Good afternoon, everybody. It's my pleasure to be here with you. And really just to kind of underscore that not only are we thinking about chasing incidents, we're really trying to invest in building the type of safety culture in which we are all kind of looking out for each other. So positive peer pressure, right? I am, as an operator, I am careful about the behaviors. I am taking actions to overcome complacency. And I'm not just doing things because I'm worried that I'm going to get caught. And I'm not just doing things because I know that it's the right thing. I am doing things because they are the right thing. And I'm making sure that my colleagues as well, I'm encouraging them to do the right thing. These are creating the kind of safety culture that supports the sustained performance of operators is where we really want to be to create the kind of safety performance that we want, sustainable and longstanding. And I see that there are a couple of hands up in the queue.
We have Colin. Colin, he raised his hand first. I don't see anybody else's hand. Colin?
Yeah, thank you. So I think this is the first I'm hearing of these crashes. So can you give some more details? There were 2 crashes, 2 buses, 2 pedestrians, 2 driver errors.
Yes, to summarize, I was going to give a little bit of information, and maybe Michael and Francine want to provide a little bit more. The one incident was just very recent. The last one, it happened on January 6th. I have those. It was January 6th. The previous one was November
14th.
Yeah, we mentioned that in our last meeting, Colin.
Yeah, it was discussed. The November 14th one was discussed. We did not have a meeting in December, and this just recently, the last one just recently occurred.
Both at the same intersection?
Correct. So the two strikes were at the same intersection, but the November 14th event is a near miss at a crosswalk. But we're considering all of these three together because they really are pointing at an issue that we were having with behaviors that are unacceptable.
And I'm sorry, what intersection, please?
This is at
Biltmore and
Hilliard and Biltmore.
Mhm.
And I would also mention too, well, it's at the same intersection. The buses were not traveling the same direction. So the mechanics are slightly different, making a right turn versus a left-hand turn. There's a difference between going into the transit center and coming out of it. So obviously we're looking at all of those. I cannot say that, that there's anything particular about that intersection. I accidentally drove through it today on my way to the office, and it stood out to me immediately. I've watched the videos on these several times. The intersection itself does not look any different than any other intersection. I didn't see any immediate environmental hazards. Obviously, that'll be part of our quest while we're here this week, is to look at things like that. But it doesn't look like a very complicated intersection. It's very typical for what a bus operator would normally drive through. So we kind of already ruled that out, but we still have some work to do looking at the signalization, the timing of how the lights move. But one thing I will say, and that I would tell you, in both cases, it looks like driver mechanics are the issue, and I kind of described that earlier. But for those of you who have never driven a bus before, it's all about pulling the bus out very, very straight into an intersection, and then when you get about halfway is when you start cranking the wheel over to make the turn. When you take a turn more shallow than that, it exposes a blind spot to the driver. The pillar in the front of the bus that's to the left of the driver blocks the view. And we teach operators to move around in the seat, to be looking at all those things. But if the driver mechanics are off, you could still miss that blind spot. And I would say, from my opinion, just looking at these initially, we definitely have some mechanic issues to work through here. So I think that's probably going to be. I think our ultimate find here will be driver mechanics on both of the incidents, and then we'll be working diligently to correct that. We already have a plan. We're still kind of putting it all the way together, and we'll obviously share that with Amber and Jessica as we develop it. But we're going to actually put the drivers through somewhat of a dynamic obstacle course that we've used at a couple other places to get their attention and to show and demonstrate the proper way to make these kind of turns.
Okay. Thank you, Michael.
Yes,
I
sir.
had my hand raised before Kim and Colin. I'm gonna go ahead and get my question in now. Yes, I understand what you. Is that the same intersection right there where the orange peel is at?
Correct.
Okay. The turn that you're talking about, the maneuver. We invented that back in the day. They call it the 3-point turn, because you pull your car up and you got it all shined up and everything. You want everybody to see it when you make that left turn. They call it a 3-point turn. You pull it up, then you go left. But you do it real slow. But I thought I'd bring that up. That was from way back in the day. I appreciate that, though. But they need to learn that turn. And Colin, go ahead.
Actually, Kim was before me.
Okay.
That's okay. Go ahead, because I'm just your liaison.
Well, this is related as you talk about driver mechanics, but do y'all do any review of the monthly complaints that come in and do any kind of systematic review of those and metrics on the complaints and addressing, reducing or hopefully eliminating the complaints? Because it seems like we get at least a dozen complaints and they aren't all resolved. And personally, I think a lot of lip service is given to the complaints, and I think the complaints are legitimate. And I just don't see any improvements being made.
Yeah, so I can talk a little bit about how the process works. We actually measure performance of employees in a few different ways. Customer complaints is one of them. Colin, I'm brand new to this contract, so I'm still learning myself over what's occurred. So I'll definitely dig into that. But our operations all have there's a monthly review that occurs for every single operator that we employ. And so customer complaints is part of it. Attendance is another part of it. And most significantly, we have a piece of technology called DriveCam that's equipped on every single one of your buses. RATP Dev actually puts it on. It's on every single bus and across the United States that we operate. It's essentially a black box tied to cameras. It actually observes the operator while they're driving. And it can pick up things like hard braking, hard acceleration. It can detect if there's a bus operator nodding off. It can tell if they're using a cell phone. And it gives a score. It gives a grade. And so we have we call it our most riskiest driver list, and that gets produced every single month. And we actually intentionally engage with those employees. The top 10 employees on that list get pulled off. They get retrained. They get counseling. I should have mentioned earlier as well. RATP Dev uses a training course called TAPCO. TAPCO is the only training course in the United States that's been certified by the Department of Transportation. So it's not something RATP Dev just invented on its own. It's a standardized way of training, and we use it at every single location that we operate at. But between the customer reviews, the individual driver performance, I've often found in my career that when you start tracking customer complaints and attendance against safe driving, there's a correlation. People who care about it being at work on time and people who care about serving the public are usually better bus operators than those who don't. So I definitely think you're onto something, Colin. That's a correlation we look at as a routine part of our business. Obviously, while I'm here this week, I'll dig into that because I'm not familiar with the comments that have been coming through here in Asheville, but something we can definitely will look at as part of our review. When we have these types of incidents, and RATP Dev classifies these into I think we have 4 categories now, and it's essentially 0 to 3. I'm not sure why we don't start at 1 and go to 4, but it's 0 to 3, and we based on that severity, there's different actions that occur. So these are serious enough that they've occurred. The time frame that they've occurred in as well is I'm not willing to say it's coincidental at this point. We obviously need to look at this, and there's the mechanics in both of these are very similar. We took direct action after the very first one. Every operator, we pull them in. They watch the video. We actually show the accident to them so that they see and understand the impact that it has on the member of the public. They also get to see how their coworker engaged in it. And when Francine's talking about peer pressure, we actually just got done showing this most recent one to this last group of employees. It's very interesting to see a couple of the senior operators, directly, commented about driver mechanics, that this person didn't make that turn correctly, which was great to hear because it does show that people did have the base level of instruction. What I've often found in these types of incidents and just in transit in general, it's complacency that's the killer. And it's how we pay attention and how we engage the frontline employees so that they're keeping these things on their mind. I don't know how long I'm supposed to talk, so I can talk about transit all day long. But I would tell you one more investment we're making. We have a new product called Blink, which is it's kind of like a social media app for work. But it does allow operators to take pictures of hazards. Now, obviously, they can't do that while they're driving. But if they should see a hazard or they know that there's a bad intersection, we encourage them to pop the brake on their bus, jump out, snap a quick picture, and send that through. Blink is also used to record the positive things that go on at our locations as well. So, operators get to chat back and forth, but they can alert each other in real time. I should have also mentioned that DriveCam is a real-time tool. When it detects something, the management team here actually gets an email that'll say, hey, we just saw Mike Birch nodding off at the wheel. So we're not waiting for that video to be downloaded. We're not waiting to run into Mike Birch in the hallway. The team here gets an immediate notification that there's an issue, and we can dispatch supervisors directly to that vehicle to check on them. So that's kind of the base level of what we have going on. Obviously, we pride ourselves on our safety program. These are This obviously is an issue here that we take very, very seriously. And we will be investing in it to make sure that we get it under control and hopefully prevent them from happening in the future.
Councilwoman Roney. Thank you, Mike.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So my name is Kim Roney. I'm the City Council Liaison to the Transit Committee for folks who are new here. And I just remember what it was like to be new on the Transit Committee because I used to serve on this body. And I wanted to note for anyone who might be a little confused about the reporting we're talking about, if you go to your agenda and you go down to operations updates and click on the RATP Dev report for November or December, but in general, in your meeting minutes, there are a number of tabs across the bottom: weekly employee count, accident report, complaints, mechanical road calls, safety and security incidents. So one of the things we've talked about with the chair and I is that if there's interest in learning more about how to read these reports, that can be a really helpful tool as you're advising the city council. So let me know if I can do anything to support you. Secondly, I just want to say I'm thankful for Michael and Francine for y'all being here and for the seriousness that you're attending to this matter. But I'm also a transit rider. And so I wanted to bring a little bit of narrative data today. One is our drivers get us to our destination safely, and we want them to get to their destination safely too. All of us, our first part of our trip is always a pedestrian, including wheelchair accessibility, right? So we want everyone to get to their destination safe. What I have seen is that, and this is a national issue, there's been a lot of urgency to hire new drivers and to train them quickly. And so I really appreciate what I'm hearing today about making sure that there's support for staff, that there's internal systems of support through that peer one-on-one, but also that the systems are in place to support the kind of training they need. And I would just also say, I would love to hear some sort of encouragement for not just the least safe drivers every month, but the most safe drivers every month. Because I know what it feels like to be a working person and to care so much about your job and to want that to be acknowledged as well. I know that our drivers have named a number of safety concerns since 2020, and we've just been kind of scrambling. So while y'all are here putting those extra eyes, it would be so wonderful if you saw some of the things that we're doing well and elevated those while we're addressing these really serious concerns. So thank you so much.
Yeah, no, thank you. I should have mentioned that as part of my delivery. We do incentivize the top performers. And so we do incentivize those. There's bonuses that are paid. And we actually, some of our locations, it just depends by location what the engagement is. Sometimes the scores are posted so that people can see. Sometimes there's some competition driven by that. Who's the best driver of the month? So this is my first time visiting your beautiful city. So I will be digging into all those things and seeing exactly how it's done, and we will make adjustments accordingly.
Thank you, Michael.
Yes, sir.
I was wanting to go piggyback on what Councilwoman Roney said. Kim, I call her Kim. She's a friend of mine. That's how we met on the transit committee, and she's just a wealth of information. And like I said, I started picking out. She suggested to me to start in operation updates, to just pick one of those out every month that we have our transit meetings and just go over it, and just take it apart and let the transit committee members just go over everything that's within it, because a lot of things in it you don't understand, but you're looking at it and it can be explained by staff a lot better than we can analyze it. And, it's helped us out considerably. And I appreciate that.
It'll definitely help with what Colin was saying too about you're hearing a complaint, but you also hear it's not being addressed. Mm-hmm. And so having that sort of documentation can help at the transit committee level. Riders, folks who would be potential riders, come to the transit committee, or they have in the past, and it'll help if you can kind of respond that, yes, we did see your complaint. We saw that incident. We're asking about it. We're able to support staff in making sure that we don't see this trend happening again over and over, like we see with this intersection, right?
That's right. And I would just like to say something to Michael and Francine right now. as far as the information that you've given us. Like I said, you know, the 3-point turn, the player's turn, I like that, which I'm going to teach the drivers. The tap toe, I love that. And then the blink system, that's great. And the other thing you brought up too, and I was going to bring it up today, and in the transit committee updates and rider experiences, was about them having an employee of the month. I said, boy, they hit it on the head right there for me. I said, that's going to bring that up today about, you know, just the drivers. I have a passion for the drivers. I talk to them all the time. I have great conversations with them, and I've even got them so they're listening right now on the committee. They usually didn't listen to the committee meetings, but they're listening now. They tell me, we saw you. We heard what you said. And I like that. I really love that. So I appreciate all the input that y'all given us. Thank you. And the other thing was, how long, you said you'll be here to the end of the week, or beginning of the next week you're leaving, or when are you exactly leaving?
Yeah, I think Francine and I are both leaving on Friday evening.
Correct.
So is that going to give y'all enough time to do what y'all have to do and implement what you want to implement?
I think it'll be long enough for us to develop our plan, and then we'll be working with the local team to actually roll it out. I travel every single week. So if I need to come back here multiple times, that's exactly what'll happen. Francine does as well. And like I said, I'm in North Carolina all the time. I'm usually at Raleigh. We just started up Raleigh like 9 months ago, and it's our largest operation. So I really should probably invest in a house in North Carolina. I spend more time in this fine state than I do in Texas, but you'll definitely see us around, Mr. Chair. And you have our full commitment that we'll stay here and stay engaged until we have this thing all taken care of.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
You. Thank you both. Amber has her hand raised. Amber.
I just wanted to thank Francine and Mike for coming. This is a serious to the city staff, as well as to the local team and to the corporate team. And we are excited to have the wealth of knowledge and information that y'all gather this upcoming week and for the local plan. Also, I wanted to mention, Kim was talking about the input of the drivers. We have implemented, the PTASK requirements that have the safety committee, and I know they're operating well here. They meet monthly, sometimes more than that. They do have anonymous stations where operators and frontline staff can provide input, any safety concerns, any other identified issues that they don't want to maybe bring public, but they can bring to management level, which I think is really key and important to improving safety conditions and working and operation conditions for everyone at the local level here. And that's really important to us. And they do provide information. We meet weekly with the RATP Dev local team here, and we go over the complaints. We go over the safety concerns that the frontline staff have actually brought up in these meetings. So we do try to, share that information and work towards satisfactory, a successful way to incorporate some changes or make some fixes. So we do appreciate LaShawn and the team here, and we really appreciate Francine and Mike being here today, and the riders and the operators. I mean, it takes all of us and the pedestrians. I mean, safety first is everybody's, key focus. But we do want everybody to get where they want to be, no matter how they do it, safely.
Okay. I'd also like to ask LaShawn and Danielle, do y'all have anything y'all want to add to the conversation right now? I know the both of y'all will be seeing Francine and Michael, face to face, but is there anything that y'all would like to add in, LaShawn and Danielle?
So I'm happy to have the support from RATP Dev coming in this week. Francine, I got a chance to see her last week. She came up last week and was here helping out, and back again this week, and I'm really happy about that. And with Mike coming in, this week, I'm super excited to work with them and take on the knowledge that they have for us here. So.
Thank you, LaShawn.
Mr. Chair.
I will second that. As LaShawn stated, having the support of corporate and having everyone engaged and helping us with our drivers and making sure that we all are doing our best at being safe and providing a better service for the city.
Thank you, Danielle. Mike?
Yes, sir. Just one last comment. I've been very impressed with the local team here. LaShawn has been just indispensable with the support, and it's obvious that she leads this. She's been leading here for quite some time. Amber mentioned at the beginning of the call that Barry he's essentially, he was on medical leave for a long time for kind of a long-standing issue, and he will officially be retiring at some point. But we've already started the process of finding his replacement. LaShawn is part of that selection committee, so it'll actually be LaShawn and I who are both working on finding the next general manager here. We'll obviously keep the board through the city staff updated on our search. LaShawn and I think have 3 interviews this week, and so we will. I think I feel like leadership starts at the top, and I think LaShawn in particular has done an excellent job, kind of covering until we could get to this position. So I haven't known her very long, but in my short time of interacting with her on this particular contract, I couldn't praise her more. Highly engaged with the frontline employees, and Francine and I just got to see a great example of that in our last meeting. How the board would be very pleased how LaShawn handled the situation. So I just would like to compliment her directly. This is a good local team here, and we're going to provide the corporate support to keep this operation running at a high level.
Thank you, Michael, for complimenting staff. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Joseph?
Yes, thank you. Amber, is the RATP Dev contract an annual or contract, or is it multi-year?
It is a multi-year contract. I believe it was a base 4 with 2 2-year extensions. We are currently on the last 2-year extension. So the contract will be up for bid this upcoming year, and the contract is up in 25, correct? That's yes. So
Thank you.
We've been with them since 2017. So
Great.
mhm.
Very impressive, Mike and Francine, and thank you also for complimenting staff the way you did. That was very, very informative. Thank you.
And I want to compliment LaShawn and Danielle. We had a urgent issue from UNC Asheville about a detour that they phased in with not a lot of input, and we were able to make the detour amenable to everyone and not create a 15-minute delay on S4, which might have occurred. So LaShawn and Danielle worked their magic, and we were able to come up with a pretty good solution. I mean, it's not perfect, but we did that this morning. So LaShawn and Danielle were just working their magic today. So we do appreciate all of the support given to Art. And I mean, it would be remiss of me just to say thank you for all that they've done. Operators, riders, the frontline staff, the management staff. It's been a rough 3 to 4 years, just particularly in this region. It's been hard to maintain drivers. LaShawn was out driving on Mother's Day last year. They do a lot, and they go above and beyond in many cases, and you see it from the top down. So we do appreciate their efforts so we can have safe, reliable service every day.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate everyone's input because I have a great love for transit here in Asheville. I won't get talking too much because my voice getting shaky already. I start crying, see. As how passionate I am about transit. Okay, moving forward to the annual report. Discuss and approve Transit Committee's 2023 annual report. See, I didn't get a chance to have my copy printed off about the report, and I'll be reading this little bit of writing on my phone.
Harvey, can I add something quick?
Pardon me?
Are there any more questions out of Francine and Mike? I know they've had long days, and if they'd like to, they can sign off of the meeting. I just really wanted to thank them for participating and providing this information, and maybe we could have you come and give another update after we've worked on the plan a little bit, once you see what you want to implement here.
Yeah, absolutely. Amber, you just let us know and we will we'll schedule accordingly. We expect to get some immediate results here, and so we're happy to keep you and the board apprised with our progress.
Okay.
And thank you very much for the invitation to speak at your meeting. I know you are all busy people, and I know you volunteer. Most transit boards are volunteer organizations, and I've worked with many. It's really nice to see the activity and the passion and the investment that you are making with your personal time to help support this. It truly is. The best contracts we have are ones like this, where there's a strong connection all the way through. So really appreciate being invited to speak. Thank you very much.
Kim, would you like to add something in there?
Well, we can let these kind folks go if we want to. This is about the UNCA question.
Great. Thanks, everybody. Mr. Chair, one last thing for you. If you hear the term "play his term" come back to you, just know it started here, because I'm in love with that term. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Betsy.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
All right, y'all go ahead now.
So I did happen to just get a public engagement about the N1 and N2 routes. So maybe I can just read it real quick and we might be able to provide some updates. It says, currently N1 and N2 routes have discontinued service to UNCA due to the construction on campus. They now drop off folks at the roundabout near the old blocked main entrance to campus, where one must take a UNCA shuttle. There's concern it will discourage students from using the bus system. And they had asked the city bus driver why the buses couldn't access some off campus from Edgewood Road. And they were told it would add too much time to the route. So is there going to be some sort of coordinated iRide update? I just didn't catch that, if there was one yet.
This is kind of in real time, and I will let LaShawn also provide the information. We met today at 11. We are going to be able to access campus off of what they wanted. They're closing off the University Heights, like the main entrance. The whole road is ripped up, and so that includes the pedestrian access there. So they wanted us to go all the way around to Broadway up Campus Drive to do the loop, and that adds 12 to 15 minutes on one trip. It really, and Edgewood, there's a swell in the road, and all the buses, it knocks the oil pan. So we were able to look at a temporary solution to go up, is it Founders Drive? LaShawn, I'll let you add the additional information. Founders Drive, to create a stop there that has direct access and pedestrian access to the campus right by the Union. LaShawn, do you want to provide additional information since you worked on this today?
Yes, so we think we can get the bus on Founders Drive, and that's in between all the halls. I'm just waiting for the email confirmation that we can use that road by UNCA. And if once they send that out, then we'll post something for the drivers and get it started immediately. And work with Nicole on getting an alert put out to the public.
Great, and I'll just send a response to this rider that a reminder to sign up for iRide.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just waiting on UNCA to send that email.
Okay.
Working with David Todd there. He's the vice chancellor of operations that oversees that. And the construction just started like last week. We didn't really, with the city and the NCDOT projects, we're along kind of during the construction phase to talk about transit access. And we weren't really notified. We knew when the construction was taking place. We didn't know what was occurring. So we'll work better in the future. But I'm impressed with both teams, their team as well as ours, on trying to come up with a quick remedy, just so knowing that there was not very good pedestrian access to that roundabout, it's kind of a happy medium. We're not going to be our on-time performance isn't going to be impacted greatly. And then they have that access. It's not going to be the loop, but it's the best that we can do with the situation of that road closure.
Okay, so can you remind me where the contact goes at UNCA when we're communicating with them about accessing the campus?
They usually communicate with us, and it's the operations team there.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Colin has his hand.
Hey, Harvey.
Yes, I got you, Colin. Go ahead.
I think somebody else was trying to speak up.
Yeah, Harvey, that might be me. This is Bill.
Hey, Bill. Where you been?
I'm trying to manage the use of my smartphone. I'm not at my workstation. I joined a few minutes late. And I hate to go back, but I had a thought for the presentation they just gave, the corporate people on the accidents and so forth. Just curious, I mean, that was a big deal. Is there any public comment that we should be aware of? Just so we know? Or Amber, do you have any reaction to that question? Because I don't know, and it seems like it was sort of under the covers, but it was a pretty big deal, right?
Well, the November incident was discussed at the transit committee. I was not at the transit committee at that particular meeting,
Okay.
but I know they did discuss it here.
Yeah, I remember, but I don't remember us talking about any public comment, and so I was just curious from the public perspective.
We did not receive
And now that there's
any. We did not receive
Okay.
any for it. I mean, it was in the news, that particular incident. And the last one, it just occurred about 10 days ago. So we're trying to provide you, information so that you're aware of it.
Sure.
And,
Okay, that was it. Thanks, Harvey. Sorry I'm
okay.
mismanaging.
It's okay, Bill.
No. Feel free.
Good information is good information. Whatever's troubling you, we want to answer it. It's good. Glad you're here. Are you going to be here for the rest of the meeting, Bill?
Yeah, I'm on the highway, and I should be. I'm on the highway, but I can do this hands-free mostly.
I don't want you risking your life, Bill.
Thank you.
You don't have to do that.
All right.
Yeah, I want you to be safe. We all want you to be safe. Okay.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any more comments?
Yeah, Harvey.
Colin.
So I guess question about using founders. Is there a adequate room to turn around? I mean, it kind of leads into a parking lot dead end. So I wasn't sure where a bus could turn around. And could you go explain more about where there's a problem on Edgewood that buses can't go up and down Edgewood? Because I thought that would be a good alternative access to get to campus from Merriman.
Yes.
Maybe, and then also, it's N1 and N2 that gives the university a really high frequency, and maybe it's something that you just want to look at, for just one route and not both routes. Considering the number of people that get on and off.
We actually talked about that too, but it still impacts all three routes, even if you did one and change that three. Yeah, because N1 they turn into the interline with S4. So both of those routes do. I'll let LaShawn go into more detail about Edgewood and Founders.
So Edgewood has this, the design of Edgewood from Merriman Avenue is the way it's made. Our oil pan and everything is up underneath the back of the bus. So the back of the bus bottoms out, either turning on to Edgewood and coming off Edgewood. So Edgewood was out because of that reason. Founders, we looked at it on the map today, and there is a turnaround spot for the bus to come out of. Let me see if I can share my screen just for a second so I can show you. So with the bus on W.T. Weaver Boulevard, after it comes through the roundabout, we can turn right on Founders. We were looking at possibly putting a bus stop, a temporary bus stop right here, so that we can let people off the bus here. And then there is a spot here where we're able to turn around. We can make a turnaround here and also possibly put a bus stop as we turn around for ADA access in this area. But this area, we're being told, is big enough for the bus to be able to swing and turn around and come back out. This should be about 3 minutes, and then we'll come back out and then look at come back out onto W.T. Weaver at this stop here. And that's where we're sitting right now, at this bus stop.
Okay. Looks good.
LaShawn, how long is the closure expected to be?
They said spring. They said May is how long that'll last. The other detour was from September to January. And so this phase is until May.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, LaShawn, for the clarification on that.
You're welcome.
Are there any other areas that need to be clarified concerning UNCA? Okay. Moving on to the annual report. To the mayor and council members dated January 9th, 2024. From Chairperson Harvey Harrell and board members. Transit Committee 2023 report to City Council. The Transit Committee offers the following report as a measure of our commitment to public transit and to the serving of as advocates for the Asheville transit system. Mission statement. The purpose of the Transit Committee is to study public transportation in the city and serve as an advisory body to the MMTC and the Transportation Department on matters affecting the transit system and its operation, including but not limited to the following. 1, the current and future direction of the transit system. 2, transit system quality, effectiveness, problems, needs, and requirements. 3, transit-related matters of public interest and concern. 4, proposed budget and plan of operations. 5, rate system and bus routing. 6, grants and other sources of funding. 7, rules, regulations, and procedures. 8, continuation of transit matters with other agencies as may be necessary, desirable, and 9, other transit matters as necessary to be effective operations of transit systems. So a little bit. Okay. Accomplishments. The Transit Committee held 8 regular meetings in 2023, providing input and advisement that included advocated for Asheville City Council to fund a feasibility study of the city-county transit system. City Council approved the fiscal year 2024 budget that included $30,000 to complete a city-county transit master plan. 2, approved and adopted ARC system rules for the city of Asheville transit system in an effort to keep public transportation safe for passengers and staff. 3, commemorated the Transit Committee's 10th anniversary, which was May 14th, 2023. Advocated to include Transit Committee vacancies on the boards and commissions webpage and appointments flyers to board on membership, to boost membership. These little words are getting on me. Heard updates and provided input on proposed service changes to improve mobility and the on-time performance. Regularly scheduled engagement opportunities through public comment. 7, advocated to continue the implementation of the transit master plan.
Harvey, could I stop you just real briefly before you leave accomplishments?
Joseph?
Yes, if you will. I believe you said $30,000 was allocated in number 1. For those that don't have the
$300,000.
Yes, 300,000. Thank you. Just want to make that correct.
Yes.
Not everyone may have the written version. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm trying to read these small. I usually have it printed on paper already, Joseph. I'm reading on off my phone. Bear with me, my man. Bear with me.
Understood.
My eyes are hurting right now. Okay, thank you, Joseph. Policy recommendations. Complete next implementation phases of the transit master plan, including expanding evening service hours and increased service along Hendersonville Road corridor. Potential budgetary impact of recommendations. Repeated from last annual report, we foresee limited to no budgetary impacts to restoring the committee's ability to meet monthly. Next phases of the transit master plan will require additional funding, but is absolutely critical, is absolutely official given the limited scope of existing service. Upcoming goals. Cultivate a strong transit committee culture by serving as a connector between various transportation stakeholders and as a clearinghouse for transit advocacy in Asheville. Current membership: Harvey Harold, Chair; Sandy Aldridge, Vice Chair; Joseph Chesler, Leo Loftus, Colin Kenton, Carol Wheeler, Transit Committee members. Thank you. And going forward with this, hold on. And I would like to have this. Are there any other comments about the annual report? Kim has her hand up.
Yeah, Harvey, I would just add, first, thank you. If y'all weren't here to be the transit committee, we wouldn't have a transit committee. And transit is a core service to the city. And it really means so much to me that y'all come together and advise us on how to provide quality, equitable service outcomes through transit. But I might consider adding the work that the transit committee already does. So transit committee members are liaisons back and forth between multimodal, but also there are members here who do advocacy work through Better Buses Together and the Art C Coalition. So you might just want to go ahead and name that transit committee members don't just meet here, but they are currently meeting in the community.
You're talking about the work that I do with RC?
Yes. But I think that it's important to name that it's not just like that you're representing here, but also you're liaisoning between the city and the community. And I think that go ahead and naming that work explicitly, not that it's an intention to do it, but that you do it, is really powerful and accurate.
So add in the report that we are in a liaison with ArtC, Just Economics, Better Buses.
And the public.
Okay.
Don't forget MMTC.
Right. So multimodal members are liaison to transit, but transit members are also liaisons to multimodal. So go ahead and like claim that work, just because otherwise it might look like transit committee members only spend time meeting here. And that is not necessarily true when often I know folks get stopped at the bus stops and at the transit center and in community meetings. And I think it's appropriate to name that.
You got me right, Kim. You got me right. Okay. Public claim to work of other liaisons, MM.
If there are any folks that are listening right now or new members of the transit committee, there are multiple advocacy groups in our community for transit. The Art C Coalition is a group of advocates for transit that includes AARP, Mountain True, Children First in the schools and community, Just Economics. Better Buses Together is a group that advocates under the umbrella of Just Economics, includes transit riders and advocates, but mostly centers transit riders, especially necessity riders. So those are some of the ways that folks can get involved in addition to, or if it's someone's listening and they're like just taking interest about transit, but not ready to join the transit committee, that's another way to advocate for transit.
That's all those committees that I'm on. I'll add those in there. Thank you, Kim. I appreciate that. So we won't be able to vote on the annual report and send it forward until we get that added into the report.
You can
No,
say
we
with the
don't,
amendments
yeah.
provided.
Yeah, we can add that. We can add that vocally now, Harvey.
Yeah, you want to send it before the deadline, and the deadline is this month. So a way to do that I've seen happen in meetings before is someone says, I move to approve the report with the additions brought forward in the meeting, or something like that.
Okay. Would someone like to bring the motion forward to accept the additions to the annual report?
Yes, Harvey, I would move to do just that.
May I have a second?
Second.
I'll second.
Thank you. Okay, we have a vote on that. Harvey, yes. Sandy Aldridge,
Yes.
Joseph Chesler,
Yes.
Bill Loftus,
Yes.
Colin Kenton,
Yes.
Carol Wheeler.
Yes.
This motion is approved and it will be sent to multimodal to their next meeting. Thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda. Thought it'd be good to go ahead and get this out of the way because it took so long last year to get it on the agenda to get it done because we didn't have a quorum so many times. But we're going to elect the chair and vice chair. And start with the vice chair, Sandy Aldridge. Are you wanting to continue to do you want to continue to be the vice chair? Would you like to be up for election? And we'll vote on it because it's just really a simple voting process.
I'd like to continue being vice chair. I would really like that. And if I get cut off, I'm having a very bad connection with a new device. So not intending to disconnect or anything, just in case.
I didn't understand what you were saying.
I said I would like to continue being vice chair. If that's a possibility.
Yes, it's always a possibility. Is there anyone else that would like to be considered as vice chair? Is there anyone else that would won't like to be considered for vice chair? If not, we'll go ahead and make a vote. Do a vote. The way I understand it, only thing we do is make a motion to re-elect. Well, go ahead, Joseph.
You're on it. Yeah, I would move to. I would move to re-elect Sandy Aldridge as vice chair.
That's the motion. May I have a motion? Joseph, he did that. And may I have a second, please?
Second.
Okay. I vote yes. Sandy Aldridge.
Yes.
Joseph Chesler.
Aye.
Bill Loftus.
Yes.
Colin Kenton.
Yes.
Carol Wheeler.
Yes.
It is a unanimous decision to re-elect Vice Chair Sandy Aldridge for another 1-year term. And then we have the chair's position. I would love to be the chair for the next year. If someone bring a motion, does anybody else want to go for the chair position? I forgot to ask that. Would someone like to bring a motion for chair's position? Bring a motion for re-electing Harvey Harrell chair?
Yes, I make a motion to re-elect Harvey as chair.
May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Harvey Harrell, yes. Sandy Aldridge.
Yes.
Joseph Chesler.
Bring it. Yes.
Bill Loftus.
Yes.
Colin Kenton.
Thinking about it.
Are you, Colin?
Yes.
Thank you, Colin. Carol Wheeler.
Yes.
Thank you, Carol. I'm glad we got comedians still here. I see I'm rubbing off on y'all. Okay, let me get my phone back in line here. And that moves us on. These will become effective April 19th, 2024. We have old business. There's nothing listed. Colin, did you, let me see. No, that was Bill. I didn't know whether Bill wanted to bring up anything.
I don't think I have anything for today, Harvey. Thank you for asking.
Okay, I just want to include you in. I got that email you sent out about the Ferris Road project. And
Oh, okay. What'd you think about that email?
it was somewhat lengthy, but the idea seems feasible. That about the amount of people that they can justify the living there with affordable income. that was a bunch of people that, you know, that would definitely have a place to live. And then they also had facilities for medical personnel as well. They were going to have facilities for medical, a building for medical help there. And I thought that was very commendable.
Well, and now that you mentioned it, Harvey, I will just fill in the group on what that was about, because I only copied you and Councilwoman Roney on it. So just for the rest of you guys to know, I'm on a little campaign to try to pay attention to public knowledge on transit. And I've noticed 2 articles in the last, I don't know, 4 to 6 weeks, where there's an article in the paper that's talking about an issue that is kind of out there in the public realm. It's either about an issue that transit could solve, or it's an issue that, in this one, transit did not appear to be considered. So this was the article last week in the Citizen Times. It was talking about the Ferry Road project, which is down over on the river. You're probably familiar with it, but it's a big development. It's a county development. But so the reporter wrote about it. It has been expanded. It's now, instead of 650 units, going to be almost 800 units. And there was nowhere in the article that it addressed what the transit plan is for this very large development. And so I just sort of shot a note out to the reporter and said, you know, I'm curious you didn't address what the transit plan is for this development. So this is a ton more people. It's actually not on one of our routes. What are we going to do about it? You know, and one of the things I want to share with everybody is that this little working group that we talked about in our last meeting, Joe and Elise and I, we've been meeting, and one of the things that we've discovered is that transit is much more of an affordability solution than I think a lot of people know. And so I gave them a data point on some of the stuff we studied about how effective and useful an effective transit solution can be for affordability and equity. And it's a huge deal. Bottom line is the average American spends $10,000 a year on the use of their car. And if someone were to replace their commuting usage with transit usage, they could cut that cost about in half. So that's an interesting way to think about it, because our discussion around affordability typically tends to be limited to solving the rent problem. But as Councilwoman Roney said in a council meeting several months ago that I heard, it really resonated, affordability is about more than housing. It's about transit, it's about food, it's about everything. And we have in our capability the ability to try to drive better transit solutions, which can be part of our city's affordability solutions. So I wanted to bring that point to the reporter, and so that's why I wrote that email.
Okay. Colin, you had your hand raised.
Yeah. Thank you, Harvey. I just wanted to add a little bit about the Ferry Road project. It is, as Bill indicated, it's a county-led project that's in the city. And I don't think the submittals are finished yet. There's still a transportation study that has to be submitted. And I believe that transportation study will probably discuss transit. But Bill is correct. Currently, there are no transit routes that reach that part of the city. So there has to be some discussion between with the city on extending transit service, because that development is an affordable housing, or was going to have an affordable housing component to it, and daycare facilities and clinic facilities. So there's And don't believe everything you read in the newspaper, because there's a lot of interesting adjectives used by reporters to just sensationalize, their reporting. But anyway, I think there is going to be discussions about transit there, and I think it's an important discussion of how are we going to serve an affordable housing development with transit. Do we extend the existing transit line that goes down Brevard Road to connect to these people? Or not people, but this development, are pedestrian facilities added to connect this development to where transit could be? So there's a lot of discussion that's going to be happening. So thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Colin.
Harvey, I just put the link to the article that Bill forwarded in the chat.
I saw that, Joseph. I was going to speak on that. I'm glad you spoke up first.
Got it. Thanks.
Thank you. Amber, LaShawn, or Kim, did you have anything you want to say about that Ferris Road project, or did you have any kind of conversation for it?
As Colin indicated, I mean, I have not seen like a transportation study, and I don't know what phase it's in. With a lot of the city projects, we do get brought into the discussion in terms of pedestrian access, bus stops, if it's along a route, and then sometimes inquiries on what it would take to provide transit there. As affordable housing moves further out of the city, into probably less expensive places to purchase and develop on, I mean, it is instrumental and really important for us to be at the table and discuss those needs, because it's really hard to have something built out not on a route, and then we, the city, are asked, like, can't you just make a 2-mile loop? And it has impacts on our service that we need to plan ahead for. So this is definitely, as we continue to develop and grow, it lends to a discussion on how do we accommodate with transit and the resources available to provide the transit.
Okay. Joseph, thank you.
Amber, pardon me. As Bill pointed out, I mean, the project is well along. It's I drive by it on 240 all the time, and it's out of the ground, and it looks to be like maybe 4 to 5 months away from opening for the summer. I don't know the actual schedule. No,
it's not going to be built till like 2028.
Oh, really? Well, then I'm mistaken. I beg your pardon. I thought it was the apartment project that you see off the I-240 all the time.
No, this is over near Big Creek.
I beg your pardon. I stand corrected. Thanks, Harvey.
Kim, did you have anything you want to say?
First, I'll just say thank you to Bill for pointing out that affordability isn't just housing. It is transportation and childcare costs, education costs, and food costs, and so much more. So I am not familiar with the transportation plan other than cars for Ferry Road, which has its own layered in expenses. And if you do some research on how to access Ferry Road with a bus, the closest one right now for public transit is the W2. It is an hour and 2-minute commute, in part because of the distance that's required for walking. So I think that this is a matter that the transit committees could certainly make a recommendation to multimodal, which is in the scope of work. Something like the transit committee recommends that the multimodal advise council regarding a transportation plan for Ferry Road and for other housing development in our community. Something like that could be totally within the scope of work of transit. You could consider that on a future agenda. You could ask for, because this is a upcoming project, you could ask for maybe a staff presentation. We'll also be looking at this conversation around housing in general. So let's say that you are with the land use incentive grants coming up with the city of Asheville, where we use taxpayer dollars to incentivize affordable housing. If the transit committee wants to weigh in on that and say, we think there needs to be a plan for transit when you're building affordable housing using taxpayer dollars, totally within the scope of work for transit. The way that communication flows, the transit committee would recommend to multimodal. The multimodal, because there's not a direct line from transit to council, the multimodal would then receive your recommendation. As your liaison, when you make formal recommendations around budgets, plans, and policies, I send a liaison to the full council because of that lack of a direct flow to council. But that would be the appropriate path if you were to make a recommendation. And I think this is a great time at the beginning of the year to think about what are the kinds of recommendations the transit committee wants to make? Where do you imagine elevating your collective voice, your advocacy role, and within the scope of work for the mission, the way the transit committee is outlined? We used to have a transit authority that worked sort of like the TDA, the Tourism Development Authority, where it was like direct oversight of the transit system. And then we had a transit commission, and then that got folded under multimodal within the last, I think 8 or 9 years. So it's relatively new that the transit committee, ultimately relatively new that the transit committee reports to multimodal. But that's the path. If you have a recommendation to make, you have members of multimodal at this board who can also carry that forward to multimodal. It would match up with the recommendations I'm hearing from multimodal regarding lining up transit as a core service and part of the infrastructure that can support housing affordability. So just let me know what it looks like for me to support you as your liaison, whether it looks like asking me questions or asking staff questions about what are the kinds of things that we can put on our agenda to make, whether it's specific to a specific issue that the council is taking up, like a planning and zoning decision, or if it's a general budget or policy decision that the council is making. But your recommendation, once again, would be to the multimodal. So just anytime you're making a recommendation, a motion to approve, imagine who your audience is, and your audience in this case is the multimodal.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you. Sounds like a plan.
So in a baseball metaphor, if you're on third base, you are always going to throw the ball back at the pitcher. And the pitcher is the multimodal. And the multimodal is going to throw the multimodal is going to throw the ball at the batter. So that's your goal.
Okay, I'm throwing to the pitcher and he's throwing to the catcher. There you go with baseball again. I told you about that. Thank you, Kim. Thank you very much. Kara.
Here learning, is a transit plan not part of the original development plan? Like when you open a site, is that like not part of like the checklist of process? I know for permits, there's like a million questions to get done. I guess I'm just curious how we already have broken ground and are thinking about this.
So I think one of the things that's unique about the Ferry Road project is, as Colin mentioned, it's a county project that's in the city limits. So the city process, of course, would include like how close is it to a transit stop. But I think that the layer is because it's in the city limits, it'll be requiring a zoning consideration from the city due to the amount of units, the density. So yes, we do have transportation plans for our current Living Asheville Comprehensive Plan, and it gets brought up in every housing development. One could argue that there are ways that we could maybe stagger and prioritize proximity to transit more or differently. And that's, I think, probably a general conversation that I was saying, like if we were talking about land use incentive grant and that kind of general, what our transportation plan looks like, how we meet our goals in the Living Asheville Comprehensive Plan could be another way that the transit committee could make recommendations. What I'm hearing on this one is you're talking about a very specific project. So you might consider making a specific recommendation, but once again, it takes a little time. So we're in the middle of January, getting to the multimodal to then make a recommendation to council. You can expect that it can take 4 to 6 weeks to get through that process. So I was just kind of outlining where the information flows. But yeah, we do have transportation planning. The question is just, is it adequate, and could you use your collective voice more or differently?
Thanks.
Did that answer your question, Kara? Some things are a little bit confusing, but if you analyze them a little bit and ask for more information to get clarification, it helps out a lot.
So for example, you take 2 Butler Road that's on Long Shoals Road. We just considered that at the council level for conditional zoning because of its density. And it has a bus stop right in front, but the South Asheville service is every 90 minutes. So it gets points for being very close to transit, and yet it's every hour and a half. So that maybe that should be weighed differently than transit stops that are every 40 minutes or every 20 minutes. But right now that's not the case. It's really just proximity to a bus stop. So that's an example of the kind of tiering that's not happening. And I think what some transit members and multimodal members are, we have transit stops every 20 minutes. Yes, on the West Asheville corridor. The W1, W2, and W6. Between the 3 of those, you can get a bus every 20 minutes or less.
Colin. Oh, must be nice. That's what Colin said, must be nice. Is that for the 20 minutes, every 20 minutes, Colin?
Yes.
Okay. I feel you on that. But every hour is pretty good too. Is there any more discussion on that? Otherwise, we'll move forward to Transit Committee member updates and rider experiences. Don't everybody speak at one time.
Hey, Harvey, I've got one.
Go ahead. And then Karen will be right behind you. Go ahead.
In my early days on the committee, I used to ask a whole lot about bus utilization metrics, so forth. It was known to think that our buses are poorly utilized. I got on a ride last week and the bus was almost full. So my experience I share is that I participated in a near full bus, and I was just absolutely thrilled to see that.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Kara.
Well, like I said, I'm really excited to be here. I live off the W2, and just wanted to, share my experience. I love the bus. I haven't had a bad experience yet. Recently, I had some friends over to my house. We all decided to go downtown. I took about 6 people on the bus for the first time. They're all young, they're my age, and they had never ridden the bus before. Didn't really know how to do it, didn't really know how to download the app, how to check for times. They were like, wow, I'd wouldn't have done this if I hadn't been right there with you. We got on the bus. It was a fine ride into downtown. There was 2 cute old ladies with little walkers sitting there, and they were like, okay, this isn't scary. This is very doable. I could do this on my own. And it was just kind of wanted to start the conversation of how do we get the bus where it's, where for some people, if you haven't done it before, how do we get it where you can jump in and, start doing it? And how do we invite people? Because, some people were afraid it wasn't safe, and they were like, oh, nope, there's 2 cute ladies with walkers on here. It's a very safe spot to be. But just want to kind of share that experience of someone young in their 20s on the bus. And, just want to say, I think there are ways that I'm a big believer in inviting people and welcoming people, and how do we welcome our neighbors in Asheville to come ride the bus? Because I think we all agree if we had increased ridership, it would really help, get we could talk about adding more routes and adding more frequency with increased ridership. And there's a bunch of people who I think would ride it. Yeah, that's just my most recent experience on the bus.
Thank you, Kara. I appreciate that very much. Keep getting those experiences. Keep riding. And sometimes get on a bus that you don't even know where you're going. Just get on and just ride. That gives you a great experience. Colin has his hand raised.
Thank you, Harvey. I just wanted to kind of add on to what Kara mentioned. Mm-hmm. And I think she brings up some great points, and it's true. The bus system can get you where you need to go and do it pretty efficiently and safe, but a lot of people don't know about it, are afraid, don't know how to use it, don't know about that there's an app and a phone, and a text number you can call, and there's lots of different a lot of information out there that people just don't know about. And I think it comes down to, for lack of a better word, no marketing. There's absolutely no, information out there that gets to the public to let the public know, whether young people or middle-aged people, anybody. You have to want to go find out about transit to find out about transit. So, but I appreciate what you've mentioned, Kara, because I think it's some good points that you brought up.
Okay. Thank you, Colin. Okay. Are there any more experiences, updates? Okay, Joseph.
Yeah, Harvey, thank you. You and Kim mentioned the ArtC group, which I know from reading some of your recent policy recommendations, advocates for ridership training handled by AARP. And I know that initiative will be expanding in future, but to Kara's point, there's so much that can be benefited, and Bill's point, there's so much that can benefit from increasing the public's knowledge of the transit system and how to use it. As simple as that. And Kara, you're to be congratulated for your efforts and continuing.
Yeah.
But I wanted to acknowledge ArtC's. I'm not directly involved in it, but from what I've read and heard, it's a great program that will be expanding. Thank you.
We do a lot of interesting things. Kim, I was wanting to know whether I haven't been to the last, I guess the last 3 meetings with the AARP and getting those flyers out, surveys to people. Could you catch us up to date on that as far as, them helping people get on the bus?
Sure. We at our most recent meeting for the transit travel training with AARP and Michael Wackerly, we formalized a survey that we're about to send out, and we could definitely send that to the transit committee members. Harvey, if you don't mind distributing it. The goal is to help folks, before we offer travel training, help for us to understand as the trainers, what are the barriers? Are folks not riding the bus because, I don't know, the first time I rode the bus, I was like, how do I get on? And then once I'm on it, how do I get off of it? So are there kind of barriers that are keeping folks from riding? Do folks have curiosity around how the schedules work? Do folks know that we offer service on Sundays? So before we make some assumptions about what travel training would look like, we're going to send a survey out asking what folks' experience is, what their interest is, and what would maybe make it easier for people to ride the bus. So once that survey is finalized, we can send it to the transit committee and multimodal.
Thank you. Yeah, because I've had this, that, and the other going through, and I haven't been to the last 3 meetings. Okay, Kara.
Just want to see if it was if the question been asked about signage. I know we have the art sign stops, but if you look at the sign, it doesn't actually tell you where the bus is going or where it's stopping at. And if you just look at it, if you're not getting on your computer, and like I have Spectrum One, like my service isn't great. So like it's really hard when I'm like, at the bus stop trying to figure out where it's going. And if there was just, like a little picture, a lot of cities have that. If you just Google like bus stop signs, is that on the discussion for what's out there, what's possible for people who maybe don't have an internet connection right there?
Oh, that's a great point. It's almost like if we were having a transit committee retreat, this would go on a resource mapping of all the ways we could do better with communications. This transit travel training is specifically geared for older adults age 50 and up. And it has been brought up that not everyone has easy, affordable access to the internet or a phone when they're traveling. So that's something I could definitely carry forward to the group, but also something you might want to talk about on a future transit committee agenda. For example, I know you're saying that the stickers, for example, might say like the W1, the W2, the W6, but it doesn't say inbound or outbound or going downtown or going towards like DOT or something like that. So I think, or DMV. So you might be onto something that's a great future agenda item.
Harvey, how do we add things to the future agendas?
All you have to do is talk to me, and I'll talk to Amber, and we'll get it on the agenda for you.
Thank you.
Amber has her hand raised.
I think signage is something that we always can improve and look at ways on how we, get the word out on and better user information and travel training information. In the past, there's been maps on shelters, and that is still in some of the key shelters to put the maps on with our bus stop amenity project. We did include, it was brought up and we worked with Art-C on map signage that is included in each bus for people to access that information. It was identified that people wanted it on the bus, so we did include that. That was something that we worked on last year. We do have, when we get our transit projects coordinator, this is something that they can work on. And we can look at ways to provide that information for those that don't have quick access. There's map signage that you can be put on shelters. There has been issues in the past with vandalism and things like that, but there's definitely easy ways that we could look at, and maybe there's particular stops that we could provide that information. But we did last year include the signage along with Art-C on all the buses, and those are now installed like right behind the driver for people to look at. But thank you. It's great, and it's something that would be great to work with. And I know Carmen with Better Buses Together has really been focused on communications and better information for all the transit riders.
Because one time we had, I guess you would say, on the buses, we had different pamphlets on the buses for the different routes, but that created a paper mess, and that's why all of the signage, the different routes, you have to get them from the transit station, and that's how. Because, like I know, back in 2017, they were on the bus, but they finally took them off and put them at the transit station where you get the ones that you needed. But there they have all the different routes. You can go up there and get the different route maps, and they'll show you exactly where they're at. Plus, they also have the rules and procedures on them. And we have some on different buses as well. Okay. Anyone else with member updates and rider experiences? Y'all know I got some. I done had 2 months to collect some. But not many. I just want to like I always say, committed to my drivers. I love each and every one of them. I talk to them all the time. Get their take on things, and I'd like to give a shout out to Tammy, to Joe, to Tay. He always got jokes. Cornbread, James, Brenda. This is 2 months worth. Rhonda, Rose. She's really fantastic at the transit station. It's just that one day she was just overwhelmed because it was on a Sunday. We didn't have enough drivers, and I got to the transit station and the place was locked up. I said, "Oh no, the transit station's locked up." I said, "Why is the transit station locked up?" I said, "Whoa!" I said, "You can't even go inside." But that day was something that gave her a learning experience, and I got one out of it too. But they didn't have enough drivers, and she had to drive the bus. So I think after that, the staff implemented new, I guess, procedures to handle that. And like I said, she did the best she could. She did what she knew what she could do. But she's, like I said, she's a fantastic girl, lady. Diane, Alfred, Nikki, Mutaz Z, Daniel, and I know Daniel's listening now. He always catches all the transit meetings. And also like to say Danielle and LaShawn for all the things that I find wrong on the different routes. It hasn't taken y'all long to get them straightened out. The signs being bent down, going to different stops, and the stop numbers are totally missing because somebody decided they want to just scratch it out with a piece of metal. They don't want everybody else to know. I don't know what they have on their agenda for that day, but they scratched the route number out, so you can't even call transit and see where you want to go. And they've been very expedient in getting those back up, and different signs being leaning down on a 90-degree angle. They've gotten those straightened out on Lester Highway, and the one behind AutoZone. I think that behind the it's behind there on that little straight street. But it's they do their job very, very well. And if you get the information to them, they have a lot on their plate, but in time they'll get it done. And if you need if you're not sure where you want to go, please call dispatch and they'll let you know where you need to go. If you can just give them the information, they'll get you where you need to go. But they're very good at their job. And there was one day I was up at transit and some guy decided he was wanting to smoke in the bathroom. Those I guess smoke detectors in the bathroom. They'll let you know somebody's smoking in there. You see the fire trucks coming. I said, wow. I said, why are you here? Said somebody was smoking in the bathroom. So they got him put off the property. But I said those some sensitive smoke detectors in there, but they work. They definitely work. And I guess that would be it for me. But like I said, I love my transit. I love my drivers, and I wouldn't be with transit if I didn't like it. I just love it. And thank y'all for letting me be here and being the chair of this committee. And does anybody else have anything about experiences that they would like to express? Okay, we'll move on to departmental updates, monthly transit updates. Staff will provide an update of recent activities.
I provided a memo in the agenda. It just lays out some of the recent activities we've worked on, primarily through November and December. We worked on the triennial review. It is a 3-year comprehensive oversight compliance review that FTA, the Federal Transit Administration, provides on transit systems, and awardees were the designated recipient of all the urbanized funds in the area for federal funding. So transit grants are designated by urbanized area, and we are the recipient. We, the direct recipient, we have subrecipients for the urbanized funds, as well as our elderly and disabled targeted funding. Those are selected through the MPO. On the elderly and disabled, the formula allocation is done by the Metropolitan Planning Organization, and those funds go to the City of Asheville, Buncombe County, Henderson County, and Haywood County. And that's through an allocation process that's designated through the MPO. Those funds are distributed annually. It is Asheville's, the City of Asheville's responsibility to manage and provide oversight to the subrecipients. That is a part of this compliance review, and it is a major component of it. There's 23 areas of compliance. Through the end of November through December 15th, staff as well as our contractors, the subrecipients, were all involved in formal meetings, some of them lasting 4 hours long, on multiple areas. We will receive the draft report January 16th. There are some areas that we'll have some initial findings and some procurement, some grants management, some oversight. A lot of it is due to tracking and just there's been staff transitions. The one thing, and I'd like to give kudos to LaShawn and her team, is in all areas of our contract, we did not have any findings. Everything from drug and alcohol testing to ADA general to ADA paratransit, to PTASP, which is highly into all the safety avenues, to maintenance, which is key. They go and look at all of the maintenance records and pull specific maintenance records to make sure our contractor is providing adequate and safe and reliable services, or to make sure that our fleet is in a good state of repair. They pulled this information and there were absolutely no findings. So I'd like to shout out to RATP Dev and all the folks that assisted with us in that process. So we'll provide more information on the triennial. It was a big portion of the last few months that we've had. Plus we've been short staff members. So we're happy to be wrapping that up. Some of the findings we'll have to receive. We get like 90 days to close the findings. And a lot of it, like in procurement, is attending a training, making sure we're adding appropriate clauses on federal procurements, things like that. We'll provide that information when we receive it. We are working, grants is a big key component of responsibilities that we do along with oversight of our contractor. And we did, because of the challenges we've had with staffing transitions, we were able to receive some grant support through an RFP. The city committed to provide us staff support to help us get through some of our grants that we need to execute, and some of the just day-to-day grant operations and the things we need to do to establish processes with our subrecipient oversight. So that is kicked off and started in December. We're working with a group called Hendrickson Transportation Group, and they're providing us that transit grant support. So it's extremely beneficial now that we have Christina and Nicole on board to work with us to get better at our processes and better service and support to all our subrecipients, as well as just get the funding through on a quicker basis. What else do we have? We did the things when you text the number to get your bus prediction arrival time. That's through text marks. We did do an RFP for that. It's called SMS texting, and it went to the same provider of the services. So you put the stop number and then you receive the information. So that service will continue. Those are some of the items that we've worked on. We are looking forward to be fully staffed in the next month, so we can start start back up on our bus stop amenity project, and just some of our outreach and partnerships with other people in our community and other partners. So that's all I have for our updates. And welcome Christina on board, and appreciate Nicole for all her efforts.
Joseph and Colin have their hands raised.
Yeah, Colin, I think you preceded. Go ahead.
Thanks, Joe. Amber, real quick on the SMS texting, do y'all get any metrics out of that?
You know, to be honest, I would have to take a look. We have a portal we can utilize that we included in this RFP. So we'll have access to the portal that gives us better access to the data. So we'll get that. Do you mean like how many member, like how many people? We do get those metrics.
How many people use it?
I can get you that information. We can get it on a monthly basis. I don't have it in front of me. I had it like when we were working on the RFP, but there's a lot of subscribers to it.
Okay.
That receive the information. We've been trying to better manage that communication process so that we give real system specific information when we send the outs. So hopefully, you know, we're going to be working on that messaging. Nicole's been doing a really good job with that. We also have started to use Swiftly now and try to provide more updates like per stop. So when you're using it on an app, all of those things can go through on a stop level basis so people can see it instead of sending out a big text with all the stop detours. It goes specifically to those stops, so when people are actually utilizing the system, they know where the impacts are with the routes that they're using. That's through Swiftly. And that started in April, that we were able to use that on a stop level basis for those rider alerts.
Okay, thank you, Colin.
Yeah,
Hey, Joseph.
Yeah, thank you, Harvey. Amber, you mentioned you expect to be fully staffed in February or March, I believe.
Yes.
How does that relate to driver availability? Are we still recruiting heavily?
We are, and it's still a challenge. And LaShawn can speak to that, but we are, you know, we're at that real haphazard level. You know, we'd like to be at 60, and I think we're at 53 or 54. Am I correct, LaShawn?
Yes. Right now we have 5 people currently in training. Once those 5 come out, we'll be at 58 operators. I do have a dispatcher also in training, as well as a supervisor in training. We're hoping by March we can be fully staffed. And we're still recruiting. We have a job fair coming up at the Agriculture Center on January 31st, where we're hoping to be able to recruit more people as well.
Yeah, thank you. What's the principal impediment? Is it just people that don't have commercial licenses, or is it lack of interest? What do you see as the principal stumbling block, or not stumbling block, but why aren't we getting more applicants?
From what I've seen, it's the pay. Truck drivers are making a lot of money around here, and they're also doing the same thing we're doing as far as training. And if they can train people and pay them more money, that's where a lot of people are venturing off to. We are receiving some applicants though with a CDLA who wish to get off the road. So, but the training process for that is still longer because they have to obtain the passenger endorsement. So they still have to go through that process with us.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
LaShawn, do we still have people that are coming on board and they're just coming on board just to get the CDL training? And then they quit?
I have lost some here recently in the past couple of months. that were fairly new, and it was from job abandonment. So yeah, we did get the license, pay for the license for them, and then they worked a little while and then left.
Yeah, that's a bad thing. Yeah, that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing. But we're hiring them. Well, we're training them in hopes of better outcome. I know that. Yeah. Okay. Are there any more questions in that area? If not, we'll move on to operations updates, art staff monthly, RATP Dev reports updates.
So we did provide November and December. I'm not sure if you all were able to get a chance to look at both months, but if you had any questions about anything that was in the reports.
Yes, that's why I had been picking out every month that since Kim mentioned it to me some months ago, about 6 months ago. Every meeting that we have, I just pick one out and we go ahead, through it and analyze it. And that's what I would also like to institutionalize get Kara used to looking at these reports. If you don't know what kind of sense to make out of them, I can look at them myself, a lot of times. And, I just have to have staff analyze it for me. And it always helps out. Just don't just sit there and be in the mess. Just ask what does the report say exactly? If you're stuck on something. Because you can sit there and look at those numbers all day and they won't make no sense. I've done that for, years. And if there's one like tonight, if you want to look at it, we can go over it now. Amber, you have your hand raised up.
And I'd also just like to offer to Kara and anybody else, like if you'd like to walk through the reports, like LaShawn and I are happy to kind of explain those to you separately if you have additional questions, just for just to get a better feel of the reporting that RETP Dev and LaShawn and their team provide to us that we look at on a monthly basis. I see Joseph has to leave. It is 7 o'clock too, so, and I do want to be mindful of time. Maybe LaShawn, do you want to pull like an on-time performance report or one of the reports, or maybe just even the whole RATP Dev report and just kind of show all of the information and the tabs? I also want to be cognizant of time.
Okay. Let's see, let me grab one real quick. And I'm going to share my screen.
Thanks, LaShawn.
You're welcome. So here is the November report that the information that we give and provide to the city every month at the end of the month. It shows our driver numbers here, as well as our mechanics and techs, supervisors, all staff. This required line here is what we're supposed to have versus what we currently have. And this is the number that we're currently working on to get the driver. I don't know why that's 63. It should be 60, just for future references. We also add in the accident report for the month. So the number of accidents we had, we'll put in detail. Was it our fault? Was it preventable? The number of injuries on board or other vehicles. If there is injury on board or other vehicles, the route number, time of day, was it major or minor? And then we'll put in the description as well of that accident. In the complaint, we have a complaint log as well that we keep up with every month. And it goes into detail as well from the date of the accident, the time, place, stop, the actual accident information is here. I'm sorry, complaint information is here. And who's handling the who's handling the complaint? When we reviewed it, the details of everything and our responses are here. We also have mechanical roll calls that we keep up with. All that data is here for what we would call a switch out versus a roll call. And we also go by the NTDs, major and minor, when we put in roll calls versus switch out. And those definitions are over here on the side with the things that we've had to swap buses out for. They're on the end. We don't use that form. Here is our our rolling stock. These are all of our buses. We're missing a couple of them on here. Our fleet buses on this sheet. All of our safety and security incidents are also here. Gives the time and date, the description, and where it took place. On this one, we have our fuel sheet and our monthly ridership sheet. Sorry, numbers. You can tell it's 7 o'clock. Monthly ridership and fuel gallons. And then that last tab is our missed trips information. This sheet gives the date, the bus number, the route, the direction it was going, the date. And this is the time that we had to miss that trip and the length of time that it takes to run that particular trip. And then this column is the miles for the trip itself and the reason why we ended up missing the trip. So this is all the data that we keep up with and what we provide every month. And then you'll have this every month as well. And you'll get it ahead of time so that you'll be able to look it over. And then if you have any questions about it, then we can discuss it here. Or if it's something urgent, I have no problem with you reaching out.
All right. Thank you, LaShawn.
You're welcome.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's good. That's good stuff. Anybody else had any other questions that they have for this evening or want to go over any other update? If not, we don't have any public comment. And the next meeting that we'll have will be February the 20th, 2024. So thank you one and all for coming out tonight and have a blessed evening. Thank you.